Alright, time to get started. Let's talk about how it feels to use meteors as an attack. Meteors are fascinating forces of nature. The impact craters from meteors can range from nominally small to large enough to fit a town in, to imperceptibly large. And the forces that can generate impact can be strong enough to compress carbon into diamonds. But most impressive element of meteors are their sheer destructive power. Famously, there's a theory that a meteor wiped out the dinosaurs in the KT extinction event. But this isn't a history channel, and I don't really educate here, so let's start us off, and I need to put a spoiler warning for the Dressrosa arc of One Piece. You have been warned. Fujitora, also known as the most based individual in all of anime, is the user of the press fruit, which allows him to practically gain control over gravity, which is pretty cool on its own. But Fujitora is a pragmatic individual, and he doesn't really want to waste his efforts or movements on small fish in the massive ocean that is the One Piece world. And he's come up with an incredibly practical and elegant solution using his devil fruit. This solution, in order to weed out the strong opponents from the weak, he pulls down a meteor from space and lobs it at his opponent. It's pretty simple. If his enemy is strong enough to contend with him, the meteor shouldn't be an issue to them. But the meteors themselves are quite fearsome, with the size and speed that threaten to be at a local extinction event. And on top of that, he can infuse them with more of his own strength to make them even stronger. This ability, it must be horrifying to go up against, frequently sending people running for their lives, an incredible and very flashy demonstration of power. But to him, it's all just a casual display of strength. Moving on to the video game world, I want to touch on a shared feeling that many of us have from our childhoods, Pokemon. And farther than that, the feeling of using a very highly damaging move in Pokemon. Draco Meteor is a devastating attack that uses high base power of 130 on the special attack side, with the slightly crippling drawback of lowering the same special attacking stat of the user. Well, that's a little bit of an understatement, as it harshly lowers the special attacking stat of the user. As kids, we all saw that mouth-watering potential of damage, the dragon type effect move that does 130 base power, but we also saw that downside that handicapped our beloved dragon types. Maybe that kid inside our brains got older, less caveman-like, and we realized the downside wasn't bad enough that we should ignore the Draco Meteor. But what if I have found a way to finally appease that caveman within us, to make that big number go even bigger? The answer lies in ability and an overlooked Pokemon. The ability is Contrary, and the Pokemon is Malamar. Malamar is a somewhat underwhelming Pokemon with an incredible ability in Contrary, which turns all stat ups into stat downs and all stat downs into stat ups. Typically, this pairing would make the Pokemon obsolete, but not to me, just because of a teensy-weensy thing called Skill Swap, which, as the name implies, swaps the skills of it and a partnering Pokemon. Using Malamar in conjunction with one of my favorite Pokemon, Hydreigon, who is often overlooked, creates a monstrous duo. Skill swapping Contrary onto Hydreigon, ensured to go first with the Quick Claw item, who uses Tailwind at the start of battle, doubling our side speed stats, creates a demon-like pairing that is dangerous right off turn 1. Hydreigon is free to click Draco Meteor and start, not hurting, but building his special attack, while Malamar rests to recover HP and Sleep Talks into Night Slash. Fairy types may be appealing to switch into Hydreigon, running rampant on the team, but Hydreigon has a flash cannon in his pocket, which, also boosted by his special attack, becomes even more threatening against fairies and many other common switch-ins. These two Pokemon alone are an excellent duo that, if given the smallest opportunity, can run on a rampage, with unstoppable meteors running down on the opponent. In the meta right now, it is extremely common for Psychic-type Pokemon to be used, which, as a bonus, both Malamar and Hydreigon are both resistant to and have stab against. Now for an honorable mention in Ark Knights. There are two characters I would like to bring up, Meteorite and Skyfire. These two girls represent my two main points of meteors being fun very well, though separately. Skyfire can summon meteors with her ability, increasing her attack interval but massively increasing her damage and changing her animation to that of summoning a meteor. This is flashy and very cool. She even has a little meteor kitty, who is very cute. And Meteorite, who is one of my personal favorites in the game, while is not nearly as flashy, she is much easier to make work and has the capability to synergize very well with her squad mates. On top of dealing more damage outright, her ability allows her to slash enemies' defense stat, which makes all attacks deal more damage, herself included. This allows her to get off a couple shots with increased damage, and through various methods is possible to loop her ability to gain enhanced damage on her next ability as well, snowballing in a similar way to the Draco Meteor example. This effect is amazing. It allows her to put out an impressive amount of single target and group damage, but its effects are applied to the enemy, not herself. This allows all the other operators in the squad to capitalize off of the ability's weakened defenses. Finally, I want to talk about my reason for making this video, and it's how meteors are represented in Risk of Rain 2. Meteors in Risk of Rain 2 I'm going to split into 3 sections. Firstly, the glowing meteorite. The glowing meteorite is an active item in Risk of Rain 2 that randomly rains meteors down on the entire map, damaging all units for 600% of the user's attack. This item is trash. First, this item is an active or an equipment item, which, for all but one character, being multi, occupies the only equipment spot. Equipment in Risk of Rain 2 is very competitive, and the glowing meteorite's effects make it valueless, or even a detriment. The glowing meteorite strikes even attack you, your teammates, drones, any friendly and enemies as well. As you progress in the game, 600% is basically nothing compared to other attacks, but against yourself and your allies, it has the destructive potential to one-shot you. And on top of all that, it has a 140 second or over 2 minute long cooldown. Oh, and it makes your screen darker and have a shade of blue, which makes avoiding enemies and the meteors even harder. This can be made even worse by having the teleporter event active at the same time, which makes your screen even darker. I would argue that Captain has a much better representation of meteors in his orbital bombardments. Captain can call down 3 orbital bombardments from his ship onto beacons that he can mark, which come down after only a short amount of time and deal 1000% of his damage. Already, this is infinitely better than the glowing meteorite's effects. The bombardments do not deal friendly fire damage, they come down faster, are targetable, only on an 11-second cooldown, deal 400% more damage, and on top of that, they are attached to a character who can stun an enemy in place while the meteors fall from the sky. What more could you want from a meteor strike? I'll tell you what, Captain's other similar ability, the Diablo strike. Forget everything about glowing meteorite and the orbital bombardment. The Diablo strike is an extinction event. 40,000% damage. In exchange for reliability, Captain can call down a massive beacon that zeroes in on the position over 20 seconds and sends down a kinetic strike for 40,000% damage. 20 seconds is a long time in any game, and even more so in Risk of Rain. But for all that damage, it's worth working around. Stunning enemies in place with various methods, running around and kiting enemies, anything to keep them in the blast radius for all that glorious damage. For gamblers, if you accurately predict the spawn position of the boss, you can even one-shot the boss before it even finishes its spawning animation. The Diablo strike is a force of nature that you have to play around. Instead of simply adding it to your kit like every unlock, the sheer brutality of the strike is unrelenting and glorious. However, you can hit yourself too. But that's a good thing. Admittedly, it is hard to hit yourself with it unless you actively try to, and it's not random, it's very well telegraphed. But you can actually use this strike to propel yourself up the heights of the final boss tower and skip the entire final stage if your timing is perfect. Speaking of the boss level, you can actually one-shot Mithrix the instant he spawns. And Mithrix has multiple stages. Stage 1, you can one-shot. Stage 2, you can kill every enemy except for one, time the bombardment to drop the very instant he spawns, and one-shot him again. And if you have an item called Kajaro's Band, it will actually one-shot him through his final stage invincibility because it hits him and kills him on the first frame he's able to be hit. All of that makes it such a fun weapon. I've been avoiding the percentage-based elephant in a room for a couple minutes now. Risk of Rain is a game about min-maxing, the art of making a big number bigger, and the way we accomplish that is percentages. There is an item, my favorite item, called Runic Lens. Runic Lens is the king of percentage. Every time you attack, there is a 3% chance to call down a meteor for 2000% of your damage, with a higher chance of that happening coming off of stronger attacks. That number is comparatively small next to the Diablo Strike, but its power is in fun and gambling. Now we talk percentages. Runic Lens can activate off of Diablo Strike, dealing 40,000% times 2,000% damage on top of the initial strike's damage. That alone is already beyond Earthshatter, but it can get better. With a crit, all that damage is multiplied by 2. And with a band, which is an item that effectively multiplies damage, times 250 or more. And so much more. These meteors can even happen off of normal attacks, turning stray hits into devastating blows, which is an especially good option on Captain, who has both a Diablo Strike and uses a shotgun, which allows him to effortlessly spray meteor summoning bullets into a horde of enemies. And in conclusion, meteors are very fun, and I love them. Almost done editing the video, but I realized that when you level up the TAC Paragon, it gets a new ability called Meteor Strike, and that is a meteor, and it is a cool meteor, and my favorite Paragon is the TAC Paragon because it has this funky guy in it. Oh shoot. Anyways, did you see how big that meteor was? That stupid meteor? I should probably get somebody to take care of DVTs. But that meteor is very big and very stupid and very silly, and I don't know, I like it a lot because it's very silly. So I wish I could have put it in the video, but I forgot about it until I was playing just while editing. But thank you guys very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed making it, and I'll see you in the next one.
スカちゃん、もしかしてスケベ？
相当スケベ。あんた、もしかしてバカ？
うん、相